everyone, and welcome back to Learning with Jelly. So, today is going to be our last lesson in Module 3. We discussed a lot. We introduced for loops. We also introduced how you can define simple functions. We went through lists, concatenating lists, indexing lists, as well as creating list comprehensions. And now we're going to discuss for loops versus list comprehensions. So, in the last two lessons, we talked about how list comprehensions are pretty much one liners. They're surrounded by brackets, and you want to follow the syntax do this for this with an optional conditional statement. So, our agenda for today is that we're going to take for loops and we're going to create the same output using list comprehensions. And the goal is for you to see how much more complex for loops can be versus list comprehensions. So, list comprehensions are most of the time faster than for loops, so they can be preferred. List comprehensions can also be stored as another object for you to load up that list later. And list comprehension can make your code easier to read, which are all great pluses. So let's change the following loops into list comprehensions. So in this case, I want to create a for loop that is going to multiply each of these salaries by 6%. So I have my list of salaries, and I also have to initialize or instantiate an empty list to store my new results. So I'm creating an object called bonus, and I'm assigning it to an empty list. And now I'm iterating through my salary. So for sal, which is item, in salaries, let's append to the empty list bonus 6%. And then I print off bonus and I get my bonuses. So that's the for loop. So now let's do the list comprehension. That gives us the same output. So in this case, I'm going to say X times 6% for X in salaries. And here I get the same exact result. So you can see how it's a faster to type, little easier to read. We want to do this comes first for this. So it's pretty much repeating this same line that you have in the for loop above. So let's look at another example. This is a for loop that capitalizes all of the greetings. So once again, I'm initializing an empty list called caps to store my result. So for every word in greetings, so for every item in the greetings here, append to the empty list called caps the uppercase version of that word. And I get this out. So now let's do this with a list comprehension. We're going to say word.upper. So that's what we want to do for word and greetings. And we get the same value out, right? So once again, this is a list comprehension one line. Do this for this. And this for statement is the same that you saw above. Okay, so let's look at our last example. This is going to be the for loop that squares a number only if it is even. So in this case, I have 1, 2, 3 as a list. I create an empty list called squares for num in nums if num mod 2, which is remainder 2. So if you divide it by 2 and its remainder is 0, then we want to append the square to my empty list called squares. Okay, this is what we get. So now let's look at it in list comprehension form. So in this case, we have, and I'm just going to delete out this empty box that came on the screen. We have num squared for num and nums if num mod 2 equals 0. And we get out the same result. So hopefully you can see how list comprehensions can simplify those for loops. It really does take practice. So I recommend in the description below, there is a GitHub link. You click on the GitHub link and you clone it down. If you are unfamiliar with how to utilize GitHub, no worries. Module 1 has a video that takes you through GitHub. And list comprehensions are sometimes faster than those for loops. So thank you all. This is the end of module 3, and this is the end of your first 3 modules. So congratulations for doing your self-study to learn all about the fundamentals to hopefully put you on your journey and becoming a great data analyst and or data scientist. If you liked any of these videos in the first 3 modules, please like, comment, and subscribe so that I know that you want more modules. Thank you so much again. Bye bye.